Mm. Okay, Master. So let's start then. After this beautiful meditation, let's start with today's session. We are on session 3, part 3 of this amazing book, Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorjani. So now, Anita, she had discovered that she has cancer, and the doctor suggested her to undergo chemotherapy. But Anita was adamant that she would not go the chemo route, as she had been a witness to what her best friend Sony, to what her Danny's brother in law, her husband's brother in law, had gone through. They both had cancer, they both had gone through all the cycles of chemo, but still they passed away. So Anita had this belief, she had harbored these thoughts that if she also goes through having the cycles of chemo, then she would also meet the same fate as her best friend Sony and her husband's brother in law. And so Anita, she became desperate. She started researching about alternate healing modalities. She came to India and practiced holistic methods, and to her surprise, she felt well, not only physically, but also emotionally and mentally. And after 6 months, when she came back to Hong Kong, she was met with such fear-based responses. And when she shared what she had did in India that resulted in this positive transformation within her, she was rejected outrightly, that none could believe that practicing such simplistic practices could bring such a positive transformation. And these fear based responses rubbed off on Anita as well, and she too said that yes, these practicing such simplistic modalities they can't help. And now she was in Hong Kong, and Anita's condition it was worsening with each passing day. She had become extremely weak. Her limbs had become extremely thin. She was confined to a wheelchair. Her digestive system had stopped functioning altogether. She was malnourished. She had so much of toxicity because of the tremendous amount of growth of cancerous cells that her skin it was forced to open up so as to release that toxins from her body. And she felt itching and inflammation. So, every single day for Anita, it was full of intense pain, it was full of suffering. And then one day, her condition even got worse. Her whole body ached. She felt so much of pain that she couldn't even sleep. And so the nurse who was present with her at home, she administered her some morphine so that Anita she could have some rest, she could grab some sleep. And it wasn't that Anita, she was feeling such pain, such struggle, and such suffering. It wasn't that it was just few days or months, but it was 4 long years for Anita to go on with this pain, to suffer so miserably. And now Anita, she was tired of all this. She was tired of all the pain, of all the suffering, that, she realized that what is she fighting for? She realized that to carry on in this journey called life, we all require a body. And for her, the body, it had completely been finished. There was nothing left in this body which could help her to go on in this journey called life. And so she realized that this tight grip that she had been holding on to life, that made no sense. We all have this survival instinct within us, and it is this instinct that makes us fight for life. And that survival instinct, it made Anita also fight for her life. But now she realized that she was fighting a lost battle. And at that moment, she let go of that tight grip. She accepted that whatever has to come, that if death has to come, I am okay with it. She accepted, she surrendered. And in that moment of surrender, in that moment of acceptance, she felt a wave of relaxation sweeping her entire body. She felt so calm within herself. She felt as if a heavy weight has been lifted off her body. And she hadn't felt like this in such a very long time. And it was at that time that she started feeling that she started sinking into deep sleep. So the next morning, Anita, she was unconscious. She didn't open her eyes, for she had slipped into a deep sleep. Her whole body had gone grossly swollen. Her arms, face, feet, legs, they were all swollen. She was rushed to the hospital where a team of doctors were already waiting for Anita. And when the oncologist, the cancer specialist, he looked at Anita, he told Danny that your wife's heart may still be beating. So he told that your wife's heart may still be beating, but she's not really in there. It's too late to save her. Meaning that the doctors said that Anita, she's as good as gone. She's just a body now. And Anita's mom, who was also present with Danny, they were very sad, disappointed, and shocked to hear this from the doctors. They couldn't believe what the doctor just said. And then Anita, she started to drown in the liquid that was filled in her lungs. So Anita started drowning in her own fluid. And at that time, Anita experienced what is called as a near death experience. I'll share my slides with you here. Okay. So now Anita had this profound out of body experience, and she felt as if she had been detached from her body. She felt as if she was floating above her body, and in that state, she could see, hear everything clearly that was happening around her. Although her eyes was closed, she, she could still see everything crystal clearly. Her ears were closed, still she could hear everything clearly. She could hear that the doctor was telling to her husband, who was not present in the room where Anita was, but they were present in one of the corridors which was at a good distance away from Anita's room. And the doctor was telling to Danny that there's nothing we can do for your wife. Her organs have already shut down. She has tumors the size of lemons throughout her lymphatic system. Her brain and lungs are filled with fluid. Her skin has developed lesions that are oozing out toxins. She won't even make it through the night. So the doctors, they just told that nothing can be done now, that it's just a matter of moments and she just cannot survive. And Anita, she had detached from her body. She could see clearly what was happening all around her. She was not feeling any pain in that state. And she so very wanted to tell her mother, she wanted to tell her husband, Danny, that she is feeling just fine. That don't feel sad, don't feel disappointed, for I am now feeling so relaxed, like I have never felt before. And then Anita, she also became aware of her brother Anup, who was in India, that he had taken an aircraft to see Anita in Hong Kong. So, in this way, Anita, she was completely aware of what was happening with her or what was happening with her loved ones. She was aware of every procedure that was being administered to her, although to the outside world she was in coma. So now let's understand what Anita felt during the out of body experience. So now Anita, she has explained this experience very beautifully with the help of an analogy. So, let's say that you are in a huge dark warehouse which only has one beam of light that is coming by, and now you are in this huge dark warehouse with just one flash of light coming by, and you are looking out for an object in that huge warehouse. So if the object is placed where the beam of light is falling, then you will be able to locate this object because light is falling on that object. But if that object is placed where this light is not falling, then obviously you will not be able to locate that object. But does that mean that this object is not placed in the warehouse? No, it does exist. It's just that our physical eyes cannot see that object because of the darkness. So, this is what our physical life is like. We are only aware of the things which our physical senses can perceive of. For example, our eyes. Our eyes can only see within the wavelength range of 380 to 720 nanometer, and they can only see within a specific distance and within a specific spectrum of light. Like the eyes cannot see the X-rays, the microwaves, the gamma waves, or the radio waves, but they do exist. In the similar manner, our ear, they can also hear only within the frequency range between 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz. And all the high-pitched noises which certain animals like dogs and dolphins can hear, we cannot hear that. Also the low rumbles of the earth, like in case of earthquakes, we are not able to hear that sound, but those sounds, they do exist. So similar is the case with our perception of taste, smell and touch. They're also confined to what our nervous system can process, making us unaware of the countless vibrations, sensations and energies which also do exist. And we only understand and recognize things which we are already familiar with or which we are conditioned to recognize. So just here to give you an example of the sense of smell, like the cat's sense of smell is said to be 14 times greater than human beings, and a dog's sense of smell is 100,000 times more sensitive than that of humans. And if we want to know the scientific reason behind that, it is because of the percentage of the olfactory bulb, which is responsible for our perception of smell, that is present in humans in a very small proportion. Humans just have 0.01% of this olfactory bulb in comparison to dogs who have 0.31% and mouse which have 2% of the olfactory bulb, because of which the mouse can sniff anything that we might keep in the most hideous places in our house, but if it is of something valuable to the mouse, they'll sniff and they will find that object no matter where you have hidden it. So, this means that the truth that we are living in this physical world with our physical senses is just a small fragment of the vast and expansive reality that exists. And Anita, she also she realized that her knowledge is also quite limited. She realized that the life she had been living in the physical world with the physical senses is so limited in comparison to the vast, expansive world that exists. And in that state, Anita, she experienced a state of pure love. Love which is undiscriminating, love which is non judgmental, love which is unconditional with no strings attached. Because in the physical world, the love that Anita had known was that if you conform to the society rules, then you get love. If you please others, then you get love. So Anita had this sense of love which was transactional. But in that state, when Anita had this out of body experience, Anita experienced that love which is pure in itself. And to experience this love, Anita didn't have to be anyone. Anita didn't have to do anything to be deserving of this love. The very fact that Anita existed was more than enough for her to experience this love. Even now when we see the physical world, everything has become so transactional. I do something for you, only then you do something for me. I like or comment your post, only then the other person likes or comments our post. So everything has become a kind of business transaction, that the real essence of life, that the real meaning of life has got lost somewhere. And involuntarily we have also become a part of this race. Though from inside we are aware of the truth, but when we are so consumed by the outside world, then we too become a part of it, and then we start forgetting our real essence. So Anita, in that realm, she experienced what is love, what is actually the meaning of love is. And she told that it's very difficult, to describe what she actually felt in the other realm, because whatever she experienced in the other realm, it was not through her physical senses. It was beyond her physical senses. And so to describe what one has experienced not through one's physical senses, it becomes very difficult. It is just feelings, it is just those emotions for which we have no words. And then in the other realm, Anita, she was very surprised when she felt the presence of her father, who had left 10 years prior. So Anita, she felt the presence of her father, who had left 10 years prior the physical world. And Anita, she got so excited, so happy to see her dad. And she said to her dad, Dad, you are here. I can't believe it. She was so happy. And her dad replied that, yes, I'm here, my darling, and I've always been here with you and our whole family. So, in the astral world, one doesn't need words to speak. Everything is communicated through the thought form. That is, you think of something which you need to communicate, and that thought form is received by the other person. So this communication was happening in the thought form. And we know that Anita, she didn't share a close relationship with her father in the physical world, because her father was a strict disciplinarian. Her father, he wanted Anita to conform to the rules of the society. Her father wanted that Anita should get married after her high school. He did not wanted her to study further. He did not wanted her to do a job. And here was Anita doing everything which was completely opposite to what her father wanted out of her. And therefore, Anita, she didn't had a very close relationship with her father, because what she wanted was completely opposite to what her father expected. But when Anita, she was with her dad in the astral realm, she felt a sense of comfort. She felt so much of joy. She felt secured in the presence of her dad in the astral realm. And this feeling was again so new for her. Because why this feeling was new? Because in the astral realm, you don't have a physical body. And why? When you don't have a physical body, then there are no expectations for you to meet. Then you don't have any expectations that you have to get married at a certain age, or you have to dress in a certain way, or you have to conform to the society rules. There is no society, no rules. So that is how you're able to experience pure bliss, and you're able to experience your true essence in the astral realm. And Anita was extremely happy to see dad, to experience her dad in this form, which was so pure, which was unconditional. And then Anita, she recognized the essence of her best friend Soni, who had died of cancer 3 years prior. So we know that Anita, she had a very close bonding with her best friend Soni. And when Soni had died of cancer, that Anita, she felt so sad. But now when she met Soni in the astral realm, she became extremely joyous. And what Anita also experienced when she met Soni was that Soni wasn't just with Anita, but Soni was everywhere. Soni was at all the places, at all the times, also with her loved ones. So, this also teaches us that in the astral world, one is not bound by time and space. That is, a soul can be present in multiple places at once, offering love and comfort simultaneously to all those who need it. So, this also shows us that the loved ones who have left the physical plane, they are never really gone. They're always with us. They're always providing with joy. They're always comforting us, guiding us. They are with us in moments of joy, in moments of sorrow, in moments of awakening. And Anita, she was very happy to be with her dad. And then her dad told to Anita that, sweetheart, I want you to know that it's not your time to come home yet. Meaning that Anita's father was telling that, Anita, it's not your time that you come to the astral world and stay with me. Because Anita's father had been living in the astral world for such a long time, and he could know and he could have this awareness of much more than what Anita had, because Anita had just come into the astral world few moments back. But he said to Anita that it's your choice whether you want to come with me in the astral world or you want to go back into your body. And Anita replied to her father that, Dad, my body is so sick. It is drained, it is ridden with cancer. Why would I want to go back to that body? It has caused nothing but suffering, not only for me, but for Mum and Danny too. I can't see any purpose in going back. So in the astral world, Anita, she was free of the pain, she was free of the suffering, all the bodily pains she was going through. And now she was experiencing this unconditional love, this pure joy, bliss. So naturally, why would anyone want to leave that state of happiness, that state of eternal joy and bliss, and come back to a body which is of no use? That body which cannot even take you to the next moment to go on with life. And so naturally, Anita, she decided that she would not want to go back to her physical body, that she would stay in the astral world with her dad. And the moment this decision was made by Anita in the astral realm, her body, it responded to the decision that Anita made in the astral realm. And Anita's body, it stopped functioning altogether. So now Anita, she was hearing the doctors telling to her family that Anita, she has died and the cause of her death is organ failure. So, immediately the body responded to the decision made by Anita. And now everyone was mourning, everyone was grieving at the death of their beloved Anita, and everyone was extremely sad. Her husband Danny was unconsolable, her mother was distraught, her brother, he was extremely sad that he couldn't make on time to be with Anita in her last moment. And when everyone was grieving at Anita's death, something remarkable happened. That there was some greater realization. Anita got pulled by this greater realization all of a sudden, and she realized in that very moment that all the events that took place in her life, including her death, they're all part of a greater plan. So Anita realized that everything that had happened with her up until this moment, including her death, good, bad, ugly, whatever happened with her, it was all part of the grand tapestry of life. That everything had to happen in that way only. There was no other way that it could happen. So Anita realized this, that whatever happened, whatever struggle, pain, aches, miseries that she had had in her life, it had to happen. And in that moment, she also understood who she really was. What was her true self? Because in the physical world, she was leading a very limited life, because of which she couldn't see who she actually was, because she was so much overwhelmed with fear of not conforming to the society rules, of not pleasing everyone, of always going against the family wishes, of always giving hurt and pain to others. So the fear was so much that it had clouded her vision to see who she actually was. But in the astral realm, when she was free from everything, when all the layers they had dissolved into nothingness, then she could see who her true essence was. And she also realized that if she chooses to go back to the physical body, then her body will heal. So Anita, obviously, she didn't want it to go back into that body which had nothing left in it. But this realization that if she chooses to go back to her physical body, then she will be completely healed. And this realization gave Anita amazing strength, amazing joy. So, this also gives us this realization that the physical body is just a reflection of one's internal state. That Anita in the astral realm, she got in touch with her true nature. So, her true nature is without any limits. Her true nature knows no foundations. It knows no fear, anger, guilt, shame, resentment, whatever. It knows nothing. The true essence, it is so pure and it has so much of strength in it that it can manifest anything. And so, with this realization, Anita knew that she would be healed when she embraces her true nature. And her true nature is infinite. Her true nature is filled with love and only love. So, Masters, this is such a beautiful realization, such a beautiful, and it also teaches us that the life that we live in this physical world, we live a very limited life, knowing that we are this body, that we are this mind, that we are this intellect. We read certain books, now we say that, okay, I have got this intelligence, and we bound ourselves with that intelligence. But the reality is that what we know, what we can perceive, is just a very small fragment of the infinite reality that exists. And when we know that there's so many saints and sages like Yogananda ji, like Lahiri Mahasya ji, Yukteswar ji, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda, they were able to create miracles in life. They were able to heal and bring people back from death. How were they able to do that? Because they lived from this awareness that they are not this body, they are not this mind, that they always lived with this connection with the divinity that resides within them. They were always one with God, Creator, all that is. They were always one with that pure consciousness. And since they were always one with the eternal truth, that is how they were able to see everything which we cannot see, because we know that our physical senses, they have limitations, but they had gone beyond their physical senses. They had this Divya Drishti, which facilitated them to see beyond everything. They could see anyone's past lives, future lives, they could heal anyone. So, this also teaches us that we also need to go beyond our physical body, our mind, and our intellect, and we can also create the reality that we want. We can also manifest anything that we want, because when we are one with the Creator, then we will only manifest what is our soul's plan. We will not want anything that is not a part of our soul's plan. So, elevating ourselves to higher consciousness, increasing our vibrations, increasing our frequencies is all that we have to work upon. We only have to work upon improving ourselves, because as it is said that, I cannot do anything for you except to work on myself. And in the similar manner, you cannot do anything for me except to work on yourself. So here we are in this physical world just to work upon ourselves, just to make ourselves better, so that we reach a point where we know what the eternal truth is, and not only know, but we start living from that eternal truth. And now in that state, Anita, she also had this realization that she has some purpose in life to fulfill. So in the astral realm, Anita, she got to know that she got to serve some purpose which she hasn't served up until now. And she got to know, she had this realization that her purpose involved helping others, guiding others. But what exactly her purpose was, she didn't know that. But she came to know that she just had to allow herself to unfold that purpose, and that purpose will unveil itself as long as she remains true to herself. So if we are struggling with the question that what our purpose in life is, through Anita we have an answer that we don't have to chase our purpose, we don't have to go behind what our purpose is, we don't have to fret that we haven't known what our purpose in life is till now. We just have to allow ourselves, we have to work upon ourselves, and that day will come when our level of understanding has increased, when our level of awareness has increased, that our purpose will be right in front of our eyes, and we will naturally come to know that, yes, this is our purpose. So we just have to open ourselves and let the purpose flow through us. And how do we do that? By being true to ourselves. The more authentic we are towards ourselves, the more we are working on ourselves to be a better version of ourselves. And then Anita, she was with her father in the astral realm. And then Anita's father, he told Anita that, Anita, now you have reached a threshold That is, if you take even a step further than this threshold, then there's no turning back, there's no going back to the physical plane. So now you have to really, really decide, you want to come with me in the astral world or you want to go back in the physical world. And now Anita, she had this newfound knowledge, she had this wisdom of what all had happened, why it all had happened, and what would happen when she decides to go back to the physical world. And so Anita, she made the decision of coming back to her physical body. And now Anita, who was in a state of coma for 30 hours, Anita, whom the doctors had declared dead, she suddenly started to open her eyes to utter disbelief of everyone who were present. None could believe that Anita was back from death. Because the moment Anita decided in the astral realm that she would come back to the physical plane, her body responded with her decision. And so her body, it started she started getting all the senses back, and she started to open her eyes and imagine the joy of her husband, mother, and her brother they would have felt of getting their beloved Anita back from death. And then, Anita, she recounted every detail, what had happened with her when she was in coma, when she had this out of body experience. She shared with her loved ones that she was in awareness of what all was happening when she was in a state of coma, that she was aware when her brother Anup had taken a flight to come to see her. She was aware of what the doctor was telling to her husband about that she would not recover. She was aware of what all treatment was being administered to her, which doctor was administering to her, what medicine was being given to her, and every minute detail she was aware with utmost precision and clarity. And nobody could believe that Anita could possibly hear the conversations that took place between them and the doctors, which actually happened not even in Anita's room, but in one of the corridors of the hospital. And, when she shared everything, that even the doctors were astounded. They could not believe, for she was in coma. And then what followed next was nothing short of a miracle. And this was a miracle for everyone, but not for Anita, because Anita exactly knew what would follow. And as expected for Anita, the doctors told to her family members that Anita's tumors, they have shrunk in just 3 days. So the tumors that had taken over all the body, that had caused the organ failure of all of the organs in our body which had stopped functioning, they started functioning. So Anita, in this way, she was back from death. So masters, this was the wisdom sharing in today's session, and in the next session we will continue with the wisdom sharing, with the wisdom that Anita brought with her from the other realm. And I thank you all for joining in for today's session. Thank you so much. And you're most welcome, masters, to share anything that you would want. The platform is all yours. Okay, so do we have any sharings? Would anyone like to share their personal experience or anything that they would like to contribute towards the session? Okay, then let's close in the session for today. Thank you so much, Masters, for joining in, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.